What's up, guys? Welcome back to DCA. Today what we're going to do is take a look at Algorand. We're going to look at Algorand through the lens of applying a realistic framework for assessing its price. We're going to compare it to Bitcoin and Ethereum, how it's performed over this bull market, and how it's performed prior to the bull market. We're going to quickly look at some tokenomics for the coin, and we're going to compare it to a few of the top altcoins. Now, what we do on this channel is we attempt to analyze the cryptocurrency asset class through a realistic perspective. That's because the YouTube space is full of, lofty claims that never come true. Things like saying Bitcoin is going to $300,000, $500,000 in December. Whatever your favorite altcoin is going to 10x within the next few months. And it just never pans out. So we try to look at the market realistically. We don't want to make exaggerated claims. We just want to look at the market as it is at this time. So with that said, let's do it. So this is the Algorand USD risk model that we've created. If you don't know what this is, if you're new to the channel, we make machine learning algorithm optimized models here. And what that means is this is a model which will attempt to identify when a particular asset or even the entire asset class as a whole is overheated and in need of a pullback. When you see an asset reach into these higher risk tiers, so this is the price of Algorand since the beginning of 2020, and the color applied to the price is the risk level. So when you're in blue, that means the asset is typically significantly oversold. And when you've reached into red, the asset is typically overbought and in need of a pullback. And as you can see, when we get into these blue levels, typically the price then returns, or there's a market reversal and the price trends upwards. And typically when we reach into the orange and red, the price is overheated and in need of a pullback, which is what we've seen 1, 2, 3 times now at each peak. And each time we're in the blue, Algorand has then trended up once it's oversold and reattracts market attention. Okay. Now you have to remember this all remains within the scope of the market as a whole. If the market is trending down, if the market is in a generalized downtrend, no matter how low you go on this scale, it will continue to trend down so long as the market is trending down. In other words, in a bear market, this will trend down regardless, okay, regardless of where the risk level is at. Okay, so that's one thing you have to keep in mind. So we have taken this risk model and we've actually coded it into TradingView. All right, so what you're looking at here is Algorand, the price of Algorand over time, and here is the risk model. Now, again, if you're new to the channel, this risk model is for free. You can get it by going over to the Telegram channel and you can sign up there. I'll send it out to you within a day or two. We have this model for all of the top altcoins. We have it for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, and we use this type of model in order to assess the market as a whole, as well as a lot of the top altcoins. So it helps us identify quantitatively where a particular asset could be reaching a peak. Okay, so it can help us time our entry and exit into various coins and the market as a whole. All right, so with that said, let's take a look at Algorand, the price history, and where we're at now. So you can see that Algorand, when it first came out, okay, when it first came out, it launched at about $3.20 and then went on a 95% slide within the first 90 days. So that's always going to be a red flag. And that typically indicates insider selling or early backer selling. Basically, anyone who had the token, anyone who was part of the ICO sold their token immediately. All right. And we just saw that precipitous drop off from the second the token came out until around September of 2019. Now, to a degree, this can be expected given market dynamics at the time. So if the market was in an overall downtrend, then you can sort of anticipate that something like this could happen. So if we go and then look at, well, what was the market doing at the time? Well, it's sort of unfortunate for Algorand, but they sort of released what we said it was the 21st. So they released on the 21st, and Bitcoin trended upwards for about 4 more days, and then just went on a precipitous downslide from there. So Bitcoin itself was down 40% in about that same 90-day period. So we're not going to, hold this as a permanent black mark on Algorand's record, because Algorand can't control the market as a whole. At the end of the day, if Bitcoin is sliding, your altcoins are going to slide significantly more. And that's what we saw here. So Algorand was down 94%. During that time, Bitcoin was down almost 50%. Okay. And that's what we expect. That's one of the core tenets that we talk about on this channel. If you head into a bear market, Bitcoin will be down, but the altcoins will, if Bitcoin's bleeding, the altcoins are going to hemorrhage. Okay. And this is something a lot of people, especially new participants into the market, who have yet to experience a true bear market. I'm not talking about May. I'm not talking about this. This was a baby cub market compared to, what it could be. This was nothing. 53%, that's nothing. Let's go back and look at an actual bear market, which extends out for, if we just count the days from top until bottom, 364 days, almost a whole year, down 82%. That, my friends, is a bear market. Okay. This was lightweight. All right. That was nothing. And a lot of people, I often see people asking about this or making the claim that, this is early backers just selling. And yes, they were selling, but everyone was selling at the time. There was a lot of uncertainty in the market at the time. All right. So then let's look at what happened basically since COVID. And Algorand is up about 1,000% or so since the bottom, right in the middle of March. And that's neither great nor bad. A lot of things are up 1,000% since March. Okay. So again, we won't hold this against Algorand, and we won't, give it a gold star or anything like that for this price move it's made. It's made a nice price move. I'll give it that, but it hasn't been anything amazing. Out of nowhere in September, so in September, the market cap jumps from 5 billion up to $9.6 billion. Okay. So this is question number one that I've had. And it seems like maybe there was an error in the number of Algorand that was being counted for some reason. I've found some sources on this, but it's kind of unclear to me as to exactly what was happening that caused the market cap to go from 5 billion to 9 billion in a single day. And, if this happened, you would expect nearly a doubling of the price in a single day. But if we go, so the same day on 9/8, if we go to that same day, you can see there is in fact a price spike, but it's not commensurate with what we would expect in order to get that market cap change. So if the price were to match the market cap, so notice that we had a 122% change in the market cap on a single day. Now, with respect to the US dollar, notice that there was a 50% change in the price. So these numbers don't line up with one another. I've tried to find out why, what happened, what caused this massive spike in the market cap recording from one day to the next. I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation. I haven't been able to find it. And, if anyone happens to know, I'd really appreciate, if you could leave a comment down below and let us all know what's happening. Okay, guys, so this is Algorand with respect to Bitcoin. And what we said before was what we expect during a bull market is for your altcoins to bleed with respect to Bitcoin. And this shows that perfectly. If you don't if you're not used to looking at these types of charts, what this is saying is when this is going down, Algorand is losing value versus Bitcoin. In other words, Bitcoin is going up faster than Algorand is. All right. When this is going up, that means Algorand is gaining value faster than Bitcoin is. So in this case, from its release date all the way until the beginning of the year, Algorand had lost 97% against Bitcoin. All right. So you were taking, if you were all in Algorand versus all in Bitcoin, you were getting absolutely hammered in terms of your potential lost profit because Bitcoin outperformed Algorand by about 97% during this time. Okay. But then, so since the beginning of the year and since it's low, Algorand has performed about twice as well as Bitcoin has and has been as high as about 4.5 times as well. So since the beginning of the year, we are certainly on an uptrend. But overall, so if you are investing heavily in Algorand, what you're saying is you're investing in an asset which is, over the last 2 years or, over the last 2.5 years is getting crushed by Bitcoin if you're a day one holder. And if you're just going from, 2020 to date, well, you're about 1.5 up on Bitcoin, 1.5% up on Bitcoin, and you've had periods of volatility from that time where you were down 67% to Bitcoin. So you're investing in a coin that essentially is giving you no significant upside benefit and massive downside risk that you're taking. Because if we go into an extended bear market here, you know, given the vesting schedule where early investors, like we showed here, early investors are, they hold a significant portion of the tokens. I assure you, they're aware of the tokenomics. They are aware of the market dynamics. They are aware of the fact that altcoins bleed with respect to Bitcoin during the setting of a bear market. So if we go into an extended bear market and you're, positioned all in Algorand, for instance, or any altcoin for that matter, you're going to get hammered. Now, with respect to Algorand, in the setting of a bull market, you can do all right. But let's go over here to Algorand Ethereum. So again, Ethereum is going to offer you less downside risk than Algorand is, but you're just persistently bleeding against Ethereum. And this is honestly, guys, this is an ugly chart. In fact, of all the coins I've analyzed, and trust me, I don't have anything against Algorand. I actually think in general it's a great project. I think it has poor tokenomics, at least temporarily poor tokenomics. Um, and you can talk about they've shifted away from, they were doing a 4-year release schedule. They've shifted to a 10-year release schedule. So again, we'll just pull this up. The original plan was to get all of the tokens out by, I believe, 2022. Now the plan is to shift that all the way out to 2030, which is good. At least they're taking proactive measures to sort of combat this issue because you just have people selling and selling and selling. And there's no lockup on the rewards as far as I understand. I don't invest in Algorand. I'll just, put that out there. So if I'm, mischaracterizing something, feel free to correct me. But as I understand, there's no significant lockup period for Algorand. So it's just creating constant sell pressure with the participation incentives. And you'll notice that these are rising up until a point where they start to slow down as a percentage of the total increased supply over time. So you're getting early backer and nodes are getting a massive percent of the increasing supply, as are participation incentives. All of the major contributors to the outgoing supply are in the form of essentially sell pressure, right? So as the supply is increasing, you're getting increasing sell pressure over time because it's going to participation incentives and early backers. And being that there's no lockup period, they're just being, constantly introduced onto the market. And I think that's why you're seeing, in spite of it being a good project, and in spite of it having a lot going for it, the price is sort of stagnant over time because people are interested in it, people are buying into it, but you're getting constant sell pressure. And this may continue for some time going forward. So, like I said, this is not a good sign. It's an altcoin, so you need to compare it to the king of altcoins, which is Ethereum. And what you're getting is continual bleeding over time with just small periods of, you know, small periods where the price is actually going up. So if we go back to the beginning of the year, you're basically even with Ethereum. So you're getting with Ethereum a token which has massive, on the order of 50 times more investment in it. So therefore, that's going to provide you some degree of protection against downside risk versus Algorand, which, at the end of the day, with a much lower market cap, it should be able to significantly outperform Ethereum, but up until this point has not been able to. So, I'm not going to put a price prediction out for Algorand because, I first of all, I'll do an update later. I want to get a few answers to these questions that I have about the project that thus far, in spite of actually trying to find answers, have not been able to get. In addition to this, I want to let a little bit more time in this market cycle play out because, I do think it's a good project, but I think given the tokenomics and, just several other factors, all unrelated to fundamentals, mind you, I think there's going to be continued downward pressure, at least with relation to other assets. Now, the last thing I'll say is the tokenomics are, they're purely short term. If you're a long-term investor, um, we're looking at a situation where by 2023 or 2024, most of those tokens are going to be out and released into the market. So your sell pressure is going to significantly decrease over time. However, personally, I would not touch a token that I feel like will have significant sell pressure over the next, remaining course of the cycle up to the next halving because this is such a developing market. I'm not going to touch something that I don't see as having massive upside potential going forward, or at least protecting me from downside risk. Okay. So if you're not protecting me from downside risk because of your tokenomics, you're not giving me any massive upside potential, then in my mind, the project is one which, while being a great project, I'm not going to bank on 2021 technology in 2025. I'll wait to see what comes out in 2025. I don't know the regulatory market in 2022 and 2023. I don't know what new technologies come out. You can't even definitively say crypto will still be around at that time. I believe it will. Obviously, I'm, devote a lot of my time to cryptocurrency, but at the end of the day, you're giving yourself limited upside with massive, even if not massive downside, you're giving yourself limited upside with the specter of the unknown looming over you at all times. And the only thing you do know is that next year there will be an additional 1.6 billion tokens released, and then there will be an additional 1.6 billion, and then maybe at some point in 2024, as a percentage, it starts to significantly decrease into 2025. But I'm not willing to wait the next 2 or 3 years, for the sell pressure to slow down. Now, with that said, I could be completely wrong. The tokenomics could, at the end of the day, be not that important, but that's how I'm assessing the coin at the moment. These are the caveats you have to look at. These are the risks inherent to investing in Algorand. Okay. So take it for what you will. I'm sorry if you're an Algorand investor and you don't like my analysis. Like I said, I'm not here to, it would be, trust me, it would be much easier to just come on and tell you, hey, Algorand, $10, easy. Look at these lines on the chart I drew. That's what you're going to get everywhere else. And if that's what you want, I invite you to go there. All right. So with that said, that's it for this one, guys. If you guys like this type of content, hit like and subscribe. And until next time, as usual, see you.